demanding release. No, listen. But the House of Representatives clearly now has the votes to demand that the Epstein files be released, which is why this weekend Trump pivoted.
The president writing on social media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide.
Oh, nothing to hide. For those of you at home who are watching tonight and have something to hide, whether it be a simple guilty pleasure of the lowbrow television variety, hello swinging Mormons, or a body encased in concrete by your sump, at some point the walls will close in, at which point you too will probably find yourself saying, maybe not via tweet, hey, go ahead, look, I got nothing to hide. But you do. You do. And so does Trump. Because guess what? If he had nothing to hide, he could have declassified and released these files himself at any time. How do I know this? A legal expert named Donald Jurisprudence Trump said so.
If you're the president of the United States, you classify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about
started to mess with me, and I was screaming. I never have before. It was my first time.
That's Katie Johnson, a Sudan woman who claimed in 2016 that Trump raped her when she was just 13 years old at Epstein's Manhattan residence in 1994. When she was set to speak to reporters about one of her lawsuits against the men, she abruptly backed out, citing multiple threats.
She has decided that she's too afraid.
Then she dropped the case entirely. Now the horrifying details of the anonymous woman's claims are resurfacing after Trump's refusal to release the Epstein files despite spending years promising he would. It's caused suspicion even from MAGA. In lawsuits, Johnson alleged she was false pretenses to Epstein's parties and forced to be. That's when she says Trump forcibly her as she pleaded for him to stop. She even claimed that he threatened her and her family if she ever told anyone what he and Epstein had done to her. It's important to note that none of Johnson's allegations have been proven in court, and her identity has remained anonymous, making her claims hard to prove. But they're worth investigating, given the numerous credible essay accusations against Trump, his public comments about young women and girls, and his close relationship with Epstein from the late 80s through the early 2000s. The two did have a falling out in 2004, but it wasn't about Epstein's illegal conduct. It was over a Palm Beach mansion bidding war. If anything has become clear in the years following Epstein's death, it's that the powerful can get away with almost anything in the US. The criminal justice system doesn't protect victims. It protects those with power time and time again. Not a single person involved with Epstein is currently in prison for their crimes against children, except for Ghislaine Maxwell.
An email is from Epstein to his partner Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted of sex trafficking. In it, Epstein claims Donald Trump spent hours with one of Epstein's victims. This name has been redacted to protect their identity. And in a separate email, Epstein says, of course, he knew about the girls. Now, while the White House calls the release of these emails slander, they are not the long-awaited Epstein files. They were released by House Democrats. The Epstein files, like everything the government has, the House of Representatives would need to vote on it. But not only did Speaker Mike Johnson shut down the House, he even refused to swear in a Democrat who
Trump. This, Republicans have accused Democrats of cherry-picking information to generate clickbait. But hey, you be the judge. Let me know your thoughts in those comments, and remember, follow.
On the premiere of Season 8 of the Epstein Files, old emails continue to resurface, sparking renewed interest. Because of exchanges like this one, which really encapsulates the absolutely astonishing nature of this entire affair, I give you. This is an email exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and his brother Mark.
In one email, Epstein's brother Mark told him to ask Steve Bannon if, quote, Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba.
This sentence, maybe 18 words long, 7 of those words are Steve Bannon, Putin, photos, Trump blowing Bubba. It's a rich text. Literary scholars will secure tenure off the analysis of this text. Steve Bannon, Putin, photos, Trump blowing Bubba. And I know what you're probably thinking. Jeffrey Epstein had a brother? He did, apparently. And to the second thing that you might be thinking,
Mark Epstein released a statement clarifying that the name Bubba was not a reference to former President Bill Clinton.
thank you for clearing that up. No further questions, Your Honor. Wait, before I go, one last thing. Which Bubba was he blowing then? It's not Bubba Gump, that's a restaurant. And you can't blow a restaurant. By the way, that's not a challenge, Mr. President. You see, but these are the kinds of questions that can be answered by releasing the Epstein files, which Donald Trump has been steadfastly against.
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff.
Did you see the blowing email? It's kind of interesting. I mean, the little taste of that, no pun intended, did arouse, again, no pun intended, some curiosity about the rest of, if I may, the load. That one I meant. But pressure is building. Is there any way to talk about this story that doesn't sound ejaculate adjacent? People are begging on.
To basically have me, and I was screaming. I'd never had before. It was my first time.
That's Katie Johnson, a pseudonym for the woman who claimed in 2016 that Trump her when she was just 13 years old at Epstein's Manhattan residence in 1994. When she was set to speak to reporters about one of her lawsuits against the men, she abruptly backed out, citing multiple threats.
She has decided that she's too afraid.
Then she dropped the case entirely. Now the horrifying details of the anonymous woman's claims are resurfacing after Trump's refusal to release the Epstein files despite spending years promising he would. It's caused suspicion even from MAGA. In lawsuits, Johnson alleged she was recruited under false pretenses to Epstein's parties and forced to be. That's when she says Trump forcibly her as she pleaded for him to stop. She even claimed that he threatened to kill her and her family if she ever told anyone what he and Epstein had done to her. It's important to note that none of Johnson's allegations have been proven in court, and her identity has remained anonymous, making her claims hard to prove. But they're worth investigating given the numerous credible essay accusations against Trump, his public comments about young women and girls, and his close relationship with Epstein from the late 80s through the early 2000s.
This 2011 email is from Jeffrey Epstein to his partner Ghislaine Maxwell, who was later convicted of sex trafficking. In it, Epstein claims Donald Trump spent hours with one of Epstein's victims. This name has been redacted to protect their identity. And in a separate email, Epstein says of course he knew about the girls. Now, while the White House calls the release of these emails slander, they are not the long-awaited Epstein files. They were released by House Democrats. With the full Epstein files, like everything the government has, the House of Representatives would need to vote on it. But not only did Speaker Mike Johnson shut down the House, he even refused to swear in a Democrat who could be the tie-breaking vote to get these files public. I won my race like 7 weeks ago, and now I am finally getting sworn in. There's also an election in Tennessee's 7th district, and if the Republican wins that race, he could cancel out the vote of the Arizona Democrat, which means it won't advance to the Senate, where the test is even tougher.
This is a big moment in the Jeffrey Epstein saga because we're getting to see emails written by him that have never been seen before publicly. House Republicans released a trove of more than 20,000 pages of records relating to Jeffrey Epstein after House Democrats highlighted 3 emails where Jeffrey Epstein was discussing Donald Trump. We're going to focus on those 3. In April 2011, Jeffrey Epstein sent an email to Ghislaine Maxwell, his longtime associate. Epstein writes,
This back and forth with Jeffrey, where he tells you that Bannon is with him, and you say, oh, great, ask him if Putin still has photos of Donnie T, I'm assuming President Trump, with blowing, which we all know what that means, Bubba.
Let me stop you here. I'm not discussing that email. This is a private email between Jeffrey and myself. There's 2 brothers talking. It's nobody's business what we wrote. The only thing I responded to is because people got crazy with the Bubba reference and they tried to pin it on Clinton. So I made a public statement that it was not any reference to Bill Clinton. I like Bill Clinton, and I'm sorry for him that he had to go through that. But the email had nothing to do with Clinton, and that's my last word on that email. What I do want to talk about, I've been recently told, the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source. And my main focus...
Look, do you believe that? Do you believe... Hold on, Mark, hold on a second. 2 things. One,
well,
if you don't want to talk about it... All right, I obviously you believe it. You just said it, but... All right, but Mark, hold on a second. Let me ask you a question.
Wait, what? What? So you're telling me that there is an email from Mark Epstein to Jeff Epstein saying what? So there's this email from Mark Epstein to Jeff Epstein basically saying that the President of the United States, we know who that is, was playing mouth pinball with Bubba. Who's Bubba? Oh my God, is Bubba Bill Clinton? Oh my God. Is Bubba Bill Clinton? I mean, that would kind of explain the picture with Bill Clinton in the dress on the island. Is Bubba Bill Clinton? Oh my God, guys, it's so much worse than what we thought. Not only is he a diddler, he's a closet. Oh, how beta. How beta. Guys, it's over. We're going to have the best Christmas ever. He's going to be gone. In my opinion, he's going to be gone by Christmas. Oh, God, I can't wait. I can't wait.
New bombshell emails suggest that Trump knew about Epstein's trafficking crimes all along, spent hours alone with a confirmed survivor, and was even called the dog who hasn't barked to the FBI. So 3 emails regarding the Trump-Epstein relationship were just released by Democrats from a batch of thousands of documents received from the Epstein estate subpoena, and the details are damning. The first email is from 2011, when Epstein wrote to Ghislaine Maxwell saying that the only dog that hasn't barked is Trump, and that a certain Epstein survivor, name redacted, spent hours with Trump in Epstein's New York City house, but suggested that the police weren't aware of Trump's involvement. Maxwell responded saying that she has been thinking about this. The exchange happened around 3 years after Epstein was sentenced to 18 months in a minimum security prison on his plea deal sentence, and he only served about 13 months. The second email is from 2015, right before the 2016 election, when Michael Wolff, who was writing a book about Trump, wrote to Epstein that CNN was going to be asking Trump about their relationship. Epstein asked if they could craft one themselves, what would that answer be? Wolff responds saying that they should just let him hang himself in a way that generates a positive benefit for you, and that if it looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt, and that when he's asked, he'll probably say Jeffrey is a good guy, which of course is what Trump had previously said.
The president telling New York Magazine, quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy."
At this point, Epstein was no longer in jail and was encouraging Ghislaine Maxwell to keep going to parties to avoid looking like a convict. The third released email is from 2019, when Epstein wrote to Wolff that a survivor, name redacted, was at Mar-a-Lago. He wrote, "Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop." Some believe this is in reference to Trump allegedly banning Epstein from membership at Mar-a-Lago for poaching girls who had worked for him, but that's not confirmed. So he knew about the girls, didn't bark on Epstein, and there were talks of how Epstein could benefit in some way from a Trump presidency. If that's what's been released so far, imagine what's in the files that are caught up in the House.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein? Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. It was CBS's own reporting we recently wrote. Guffrey maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us.
Is this another indication, fellas? They got to release everything that they have. Otherwise, this drip, drip, drip will just be going. Bill O'Reilly, what is your take on the significance?
So on St. Patrick's Day of this year, I was in the Oval Office with President Trump, and he asked me, what about the Epstein files? Should they be released? And I said, Mr. President, if there is verification of facts in the Epstein case from the Attorney Generals, Barr and Garland, what we see today is a bunch of innuendo. It's hearsay. There isn't any direct backup for any allegation because there aren't any allegations other than Trump may have been in a house where there are some girls. Okay, so you have the lady in question, and I feel very bad for Miss Giuffre's family. He committed suicide. What a horrible thing. The whole thing is just awful. And that's right on Epstein. You have her saying under oath, Trump didn't do anything, and you have Maxwell. But here's the most important person you have, not under oath. Dershowitz. Dershowitz was Epstein's lawyer, and lawyer-client confidentiality ends with death. Dershowitz went on television today, said, I have all of the Epstein stuff, and there isn't anything. And I asked Epstein directly.
I spent 5 hours reading through the Epstein emails, so you do not have to. I found some interesting ties between Bannon and Epstein, who were really buddy-buddy. And this is the time when Steve Bannon was heavily connected to Trump's inner circle, including donors and policy influencers. This is not just about Trump's ties to Epstein. This is about political persuasion and corruption at a global scale. Let's go through some of these emails with screenshots. So to give you guys some reference, these emails are happening when Steve Bannon was traveling across Europe with what he called his global populist movement. So he was trying to convince major groups to be right-wing. So this email is talking about these two strategizing together, and he says, populist nationalists first, conservative Christians, Catholic or evangelical next, reverse Alabama. This coalition starts off time's up for the next decade. Plus, what's mean? That's him lining a strategy. He is building a political coalition with Christianity as the glue. Then he goes on to reference this in a New York Times article by stating he wanted to train an army of populist foot soldiers in the language and tools of social media. He sent this article over to Epstein like, hey, buddy, guess what? They're talking about this. If you haven't noticed everything that's going on around us, that is what's going on in this country right now. They are using faith and fear to consolidate power. He was discussing politics and crypto funding ideas, even talking about United Nations connections, things far beyond his usual financial world. Let's bring up some more screenshots, shall we? Myro, president of the UN, will guide the EU project if you like him. His government will fall this week, as planned. He is actively referencing a government collapse and implying it was planned. He is also offering Bannon influence or access through this. It really goes to show how deep their relationship was. Mind you, this mirrors Bannon's later efforts to undermine that very project. So this showcases Epstein signaling inside awareness or even collaboration of a power shift inside of Europe. It gets worse. Moving forward a couple months, Bannon wrote, Putin in Vienna, your guy setting up and hosting. Now this phrase is suggesting that Epstein or someone in his orbit had a direct contact involved in arranging Putin's visit. This ties into some of the emails that you probably have seen already about Putin. At this time, Bannon was in Europe trying to unite nationalist leaders, the same people who often align politically with Putin's worldview. And it didn't stop there. Later on, Epstein was emailing Bannon and he said, focus on Europe, Salvini or Orban. Movement. I want to be seen as a trusted advisor rather than a spook. Just for context, Salvini and Orban, I think that's how you say it, they are both national leaders that are promoting very specific policies. You want to guess what those are? They push anti-immigrant and pro-Christian identity politics. So I need you to ask yourself this. If Epstein is coaching Bannon on strategy with European far-right leaders, while Bannon is still advising Trump in his inner circle, how separate were those networks really? It's a legitimate question to ask. Was Bannon helping Trump behind the scenes while organizing?
You should be reading the Epstein emails for yourself, and I'm going to tell you how to find them so you can read them for yourself. I'm a lawyer in real life. I don't play one on television. When I heard this morning about the 3 emails that were released by the Democrats, I immediately wanted to find the original documents. I don't like being told information by the media or anyone else. If I can see the source document, that's where I'm going to go. And that's what I did this morning. And when you read these documents, you will realize that for a very long time, there was a relationship between Trump and Epstein. And in the 3 emails that the Democrats released, in one, Epstein mentions, and this is going back to 2011, that Trump had not yet been mentioned, but he has spent a lot of time alone with one of the victims. And Ghislaine Maxwell, his girlfriend or whatever she was, she says, I thought about that. So these are private emails between the 2 of them. They weren't expecting anyone else to see them. And also, but I want you all to know that Trump is mentioned in more than just these 3 emails. So I also went to the Republican website where they released over 20,000 pages of documents related to the Epstein files. And I just randomly opened some of the documents and I found information about Trump, just randomly going through. There's information about Trump. And I'm going to put here on the screen one of the emails that I found about Trump. And I don't know exactly what this means, but it was some type of alert for Epstein's name on Google. And it talked about some type of tapes involving PP tapes and Russian hookers. So I don't know what it means, but I think it's really interesting that Trump is mentioned throughout the Epstein files, just not 1 or 2 emails. I also found other references to Trump by just randomly opening the emails. But you need to go see this for yourself. And now that we have more information, I really want to know from all those people who say they are defenders of children, they want to fight against PDS, they want to stop trafficking, what do you have to say now? What do you think now that you've seen some of these emails where Trump is just mentioned throughout in regards to Epstein?
Now, it's possible that this big trove of emails the Republicans dumped out there were supposed to be sort of a flooding of the zone and to muddy the waters and make the story confusing and take it off the front page. But this weekend, one of those emails captured the nation's hearts and minds. It was, you know what it is, I can tell. It was from Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark, who emailed Jeff in 2018 telling him to ask Jeff's friend, Steve Bannon, quote, if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Okay. Okay. I don't want to talk about this. I mean, I try to be a good person. You know, I taught Sunday school. We have standards at the Late Show, but we also have a self-imposed mandate to talk a lot about what a lot of people are talking about. And for the past few days, a lot of people have been talking about this email. First of all, who is this lucky Bubba? Well, lots of folks pointed out that Bubba is a nickname for former President Bill Clinton. Okay, 1 second. Hold on. Ready? Nope. Not enough. More. Wow, the Ed Sullivan Theater. Now, it's possible that this big trove of emails the Republicans dumped out there were supposed to be sort of
Let's break down who is mentioned. There were a lot of names, so this is part 1. We have this email from 2014 where Epstein writes, "Girls, careful. I will renew an old habit. This week, Thiel." Peter Thiel is a billionaire investor who admitted that he met Epstein a few times back on Joe Rogan's podcast in August 2024. Next is Summers, which is in reference to Larry Summers, who is the former U.S. Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton. Next in this email is Bill Burns, in reference to ex-CIA Director William Burns. After that is Jagland, who was the former Prime Minister of Norway. Next, there's the President of Mongolia, and then Hardeep Puri, who is the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas of India. Next is Boris, and it says Gates after, as in Boris Nikolic, the ex-Bill Gates advisor. It is not entirely clear which two individuals Epstein was referring to in Jabor Qatar and Sultan Dubai, and then there's Koslin Harvard, which is allegedly in reference to Stephen Koslin at Harvard University. And there's Leon Black, billionaire and former CEO of Apollo. And the last mention in this email is Woody, allegedly in reference to Woody Allen. This barely scratches the surface of all the people mentioned, as this is just one email from thousands. So make sure to come back for the next part, and let me know if you have any comments or questions down below.
When those freaking emails released, why did everyone rush towards the familiar names that we all know have always been on that list? Especially when there's one sentence that stands out in all the emails that everyone's just glazed.
Did you guys forget your red hats today? Come on, man. Yeah, real fun. Just checking. You know.
I'm afraid I have bad news for all the farmers that voted for Donald Trump, many of them a third time. This is specifically for the cattle farmers. Donald Trump is not coming to save you. He took you down, just like he did his first 4 years as president. As a matter of fact, the last time bankruptcies with cattle farmers were this high was Donald Trump's last year in office. He hurt farmers so badly his first 4 years that your tax dollars and my tax dollars had to come bail the farmers out. So here he is again. He's taken more down than he ever has before. Bankruptcies for cattle farmers has skyrocketed. Beef prices are at record highs. And now, as consumers, what we're having to deal with is quality of beef issues because Donald Trump's administration laid off a shit ton of regulators that enforce food quality safety. They're using meat fillers that are like a consistency of pate. There's tumors and cysts that are making it into the beef through the food processing plants. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you have a reduction in regulators. And Donald Trump this time around, after battering cattle farmers, came back in Argentina $20 million and then followed up a couple weeks later with another $20 million to help them with their beef sales. Not you, cattle farmers, not you. And I'm here to say he's not coming to help you because he's mired, he's buried. His whole administration is buried in the Jeffrey Epstein emails that are coming out. His attention is elsewhere. Don't look for any help.
So we have another example of MAGAville messing around and finding out that, yes, the law still applies to them. This is Mary Moriarty, and she was dumb enough to wave a firearm at a crowd of peaceful protesters at the No Kings protest. And she did it in plain sight of officers. So police officers literally see her waving this gun around in her car, pointing it at protesters, throwing out all kinds of slurs, and she was promptly apprehended and arrested. She has been charged with pointing a weapon at people and endangering their lives. To me, I think that this is a felony, but I couldn't find out if they're charging her with a felony or if they're charging her with a misdemeanor. So if you do know the answer to that, drop a comment down below and let everybody know. However,
Ma'am, stop the cart.
Don't you touch that! The president said I can have this food!
Let
go of the handle, ma'am. Step back from the car. You're being detained.
Detained? I'm a citizen. He said groceries are free now.
Turn around. Hands behind your back.
I ain't doing nothing wrong. At home that gotta eat. You think I'm just gonna leave my cart here? Hell no. I ain't paying nothing. I'm walking out with it. Try and stop me.
They said the government's stopping EBT in November. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Get a job? I deserve my stamps. I've been getting them for years. They expect me to work while raising all these kids? Nah, that ain't right.
Ma'am, stop right there. Put your hands on the car.
I'm not stealing. The president said I could have this food.
Ma'am, step away from the exit.
Y'all are harassing me.
Folks, take your hats off.
There's some really good FAFO that the media is not reporting on. You do? So recently there's been a ton of natural disasters. Obviously that's not news. That's what happens when you burn up the planet with fossil fuels. And the Orange Clown made it very clear that he was not going to send any federal aid to blue states because we're very mean to him and we hate him. And we do hate him, and we hate him because he's ugly. So Nebraska, North Dakota, Missouri, and Alaska all got hit with natural disasters, and they asked for funding. The Orange Clown said yes, and he's because, quote, he won big in those states. And then Maryland, Vermont, and Illinois all got hit, and they asked for disaster relief, and he said no, because he lost in those states. By the way, this is illegal. He is not allowed to withhold federal aid. It's illegal. Yeah, because I don't know, I gave up saying that. Yes, it's illegal. He's not allowed to do that. But I want to talk about Maryland specifically. So they got hit with massive storms, causing enormous flooding and about $33 million of damage. And the areas that got the most hit were the westernmost counties, Allegheny County and Garrett County. And if you know anything about that area, it is deep, deep red. It's extreme MAGA. The Orange Clown won Allegheny by 40 points and Garrett County by 54 points. And they're over here begging and pleading for help, but the Orange Clown doesn't care because he cares more about punishing blue states than helping out his MAGA loyalists. But hey, on a serious note, I actually think they're going to be totally fine because even though their homes washed away in a flood, they can totally build emergency tents out of all of their stupid MAGA flags. But that's not all. I have a second piece of effing around and finding out. Now this one is about the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub. Now if you haven't heard about it, let me tell you about it real quick. It was basically this big multi-state initiative throughout Washington, Oregon, and Montana to produce, store, use, and transport clean hydrogen. This was a huge project with about $1 billion of federal funding and creating thousands of really good high-paying jobs. But because Washington and Oregon are blue states, the Orange Clown canceled the entire project and pulled all of their funding. Montana is as ruby red as Dorothy's slippers, and the governor of Montana, a spineless, pathetic MAGA bootlicker and Orange Clown loyalist, allegedly called the Orange Clown, desperately begging him not to cancel the project so the good people of Montana wouldn't lose all of those high-paying jobs. The Orange Clown didn't care. It's the exact same situation as the Hyundai plant in Georgia, basically punching yourself in the face and telling yourself you're winning every single day. Or all of those cattle ranchers who voted for the Orange Clown only for him to decide to flood the market with cheap Argentinian beef. All the while calling them ungrateful right to their faces. And by the way, congratulations, cattle farmers, because you definitely owned the libs, and now Couchboy gets to own your farms.
80% of the tax credits that make Obamacare cheaper, 80% of those tax credits go to people in red states. 57% of people who use the ACA marketplace to get healthcare, they are in Republican congressionally controlled districts. The Democrats are fighting to continue those tax credits so that your healthcare is cheaper, when the truth is, the people that benefit from those tax credits the most are not even their constituents. They voted for Trump and they voted for Republicans. There are 39 congressional districts where, had it not been for these tax credits that passed under the Biden administration and that Democrats are trying to renew again right now, those people would have been paying double for their health care. And guess who those people voted for? Trump. Most of those districts are in Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So again, the tax credits that the Democrats are fighting to extend right now were originally passed 4 years ago under the Biden administration. And most people that have been benefiting from those voted for Trump. Like, Biden and the Democrats cut the cost of your healthcare in half, people. And they still voted for Trump. And now the Republicans are going to get rid of your healthcare subsidies and you're going to be paying on average 115% more. 80%.
The New York Times just revealed something stunning. Iowa, Trump country, has the worst economy in America, and it's not even close. This is a state that voted for Barack Obama twice, then went all in for Trump, and now they're getting crushed by the very policies they voted for. The promise: Trump is going to fight for American farmers.
Under the next Trump administration, we will have a rebirth of loyalty to the American farmer and to the American flag. I will defend you on trade, and if any other country tries to take advantage of our farmers, there will be a very steep price for them to pay.
The reality? Iowa's GDP dropped over 6% in the first quarter, worst in the nation. China, which bought over $12 billion worth of Iowa soybeans last year, stopped buying from America entirely. Where did those sales go? Argentina, the same Argentina Trump just gave a $20 billion bailout to. An 86-year-old Iowa farmer watched Argentine soybeans shipped to China while his family's harvest sat unsold. His grandson's wife put it simply: death by 1,000 paper cuts. The promise: tariffs will protect American jobs.
Why impose tariffs that you know are hurting American businesses?
They're not hurting, they're helping because they're creating jobs in America. We're creating tremendous amounts of jobs in America like you've never seen.
The reality? John Deere laid off hundreds of workers. Trump's tariffs cost them over $500 million. Fertilizer prices up 14%, equipment costs soaring. Fifth-generation farmer Aaron Lehman is making do with a 25-year-old combine because he can't afford a new one. He's been wondering if his son will even be able to farm for a living. The promise: deporting undocumented immigrants will free up jobs for Americans.
So as we create millions of new manufacturing jobs here in Georgia and nationwide, we will make sure that these jobs go to American citizens, not illegal citizens, people that came into our country illegally. Your wages will rise, your costs will fall, your job opportunities will grow, because we will conduct the largest deportation operation, sadly, in America.
Hey, do y'all remember Nick Fuentes? He was one of Trump's most ardent supporters. He made a profound announcement, and I think you need to hear it.
This is now the dichotomy. You have MAGA on the one side, and what does this even stand for anymore? You got MAGA on one side, what does that even mean?
It means exactly what you supported and voted for.
Make America great for who?
The people you advocated for. But go on.
Make it great for Israel, Indian immigrants, Chinese students, illegal immigrant farm workers. Make America great again for them. Make Israel great. Make America great for the global empire, defense contractors, big pharma, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, Palantir.
Motherfucker, we said all of this, but you ignored us. But go on.
You got MAGA on the one side, and like I said, Randy Fine, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz.
But didn't you support all these folks?
And then on the other side, you got America First. No ambiguity, no ifs, ands, or buts. What does that mean? America first. Americans first. America only. America first is our credo. Americanism, not globalism, is the credo. Tucker, Fuentes, Candace, Marjorie, Thomas Massey, Dan Bilzerian, Myron, Jake Shields, Lucas Gage, all the greats, all the usual suspects.
So all these folks and you supported MAGA. Don't you remember that? You want us to allow you to forget this? Forget this?
That's the question. Aiden Ross, Sneeko. Yay. This is the dichotomy. What are you for? Are you with America First or are you with MAGA?
Get out of here. That's the same thing.
I think after this month, after this year, 2025 is the year that MAGA died. This is the year that this hat is no longer controversial. The hat is not edgy. The hat is not provocative. It doesn't even mean anything. This hat is dead.
Like your boy Charlie Smirk?
This hat is dead. Now, metaphorically speaking. And it's the future.
But it's the same thing. Y'all see what I'm saying? To hell with these folks. We were right and we told them that this was going to happen. Our interests, not some supposed allied interests, must be our only focus. We need to become indispensable, unfireable, and self-reliant. These folks learned the hard way. We can't afford to follow in their footsteps.
I am MAGA and a Christian. But hell, we're human beings. Hell, help us. Give us what we need. We don't want to be the stepchildren anymore.
I am MAGA and a Christian. I have an FAFO for a federal worker, a Trump supporter, and actually he's also a veteran. Did you know that a majority of veterans, federal workers, and military voted for Donald Trump? Even though he's been a draft dodger 5 times, well, I digress. Wait for this FAFO. It's almost like they're getting it. Let me know.
I was hoping he would did something that made sense regarding the economy, made some kind of progress in bettering, the benefits of being a veteran. But I mean, it just seemed like he actually cared about doing what was best for the country, but now it just feels like all about me, Donald Trump, not, the guy out there working in the trenches.
I'm
trying
seeing
to make
more and more of these FAFOs every day, but you notice he didn't care until it affected him, and only about what's going on with him. Do you agree?
Apparently there's a shortage of workers on the farm. But don't worry, MAGA. Brooke Collins, who heads agriculture, says that she has a solution. Seems like Trump and Brooke Collins put their heads together and come up with a solution to solve the problem on the farms, losing workers. Let's watch the video and see what Brooke Collins has to say to solve this issue.
For enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Did you hear that, MAGA? They're saying if you're able-bodied and on Medicaid, you are going to work in the fields. MAGA, this is where it hits you. You're going to work in the fields. And you're going to see what it's like for these undocumented immigrants to come to America and work a hard day's labor in the American fields. Get ready to pack up Mima and Pop-Pop and put them on a bus. Apparently, oh